Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Why I Need podcast. Thank you for always stopping by, always watching our videos, and now scrolling past it. We appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And we'll also like to engage with you in the comment section. So we're gonna be talking about a story that's been making rounds on the internet about a man that bought a stolen generator in 1999, Nigeria, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. And he recently got released by the intervention of the Abia State governor because the young man lived in Lagos at that time. But upon further investigation, they found out that he was wrongfully convicted. And we just want to talk about it and talk about the challenges of the justice system in Nigeria and what to do to prevent these issues from having going forward. I'm sure there are a ton of people in the prison that are either not guilty or they haven't even processed their case. The court system hasn't heard their cases and it's just sitting in there waiting for the court to hear them out, having their day in court in order to either plead guilty or cut a deal or something like that. So we just want to talk about it, see what challenges this man had gone through, especially his young life was taken away from him. At 22 years old, he was there for 26 years and it finally came out. And thank goodness his mother is still alive and they're able to spend a little bit of time together until God calls the mom home because the mom is pretty old. So they've taken a good portion of our life away. They've taken a good portion of his child's life away. So what do you think about this story? Have you seen the story going around on X?
Yes, I saw it. I think I got today, and before you sent the link to me. I think it's a very touching story. I think that speaks to the level of decay in Nigeria and by this thing in the judiciary. That's the problem with the judiciary, and this is why some people, regardless if they are doing good or they are not doing good, they decide to leave the country because there's really no justice for the common man. If you have money, you can buy justice. But if you don't have money, you will rot in jail. You will waste all your life in jail. That is exactly what happened to this young man. And it's unfortunate that what happened to him happened to him. I mean, in America here, you really do not see the police disturbing you, asking for receipts or invoice for for your properties. I think it's different jurisdiction, but I think it's time for Nigerian distant police to start, maybe have a little bit of, some, you know, make some changes to as to how they approach these cases, make sure that is legit. Though we are hearing from him and saying that he never knew it was a stolen goods, but we don't know the whole specifics. I mean, especially from the other party, the person that sold it to him, because maybe perhaps the goods was so cheap. And then, from there you should get idea that this is mostly not legit. Let's say hypothetically a motorcycle, maybe they sell a motorcycle for 500,000 naira and somebody is trying to sell it to you for 100,000, that should be a red flag to you. But it's unfortunate that what happened, happened to him. And I think, the Nigerian government, maybe Alex Oti, I think he's putting a team together has instructed some people to make sure that they reintegrate them back into the society. But moving forward, I think Nigerian, government, the judiciary, to make sure that they do their due diligence before they put somebody behind bar for extended period of time like this, because those time he will never be able to get it back. It's almost safe to say that he's wasted his life, even though he's out and they're about to fix him up, but a good portion of his life has been wasted. Somebody that went in at the age of almost 22, I'll be 23, and coming out almost 40 something, close to 50. Yeah, the significant, productive part of his life has been wasted. That is why, a lot of people seek to leave the country, because in a country like a US, definitely he will make a lot of money. He will be able to sue maybe the state, will be able to sue the government, and then he will get some compensation for them wasting his time. But in Nigeria, nothing like that. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. And moving forward, I think all the law enforcement agency, the judiciary should make sure that they're doing their due diligence before, they put people away for significant, number of time, length of time like this.
Yeah, good point. And I know that you reference America, and I know the justice system in America is not perfect either. People still wrongfully get convicted, and it's sad that even if you're guilty, in some cases, you have the money to hire the best lawyer, hire the best attorneys, you can get away with some crimes. So I think the justice system is just a little bit better. It'll be difficult before you can see an interrogator here in the US beat a suspect into signing a confession. But in this case, it was reported that this man was beaten, he was coerced into signing a confession that he couldn't read. I believe that's one of the differences if you're comparing the justice system here with the justice system in Nigeria. The police officers, even though they maltreat suspect, in some cases, they wouldn't maltreat the person into signing a confession that the person hasn't read. I know they can try to get him to cut a deal. They can try to get the suspect in question to cut a deal. As long as the person knows they're right, that, even though you're a person of interest, they still provide you with an attorney. But in Nigeria, you have to find your attorney yourself. The system, the government will not provide you a defense attorney. You have to go out there and get your own attorney. And there's no resources like that in Nigeria. So if you're not able to get the best attorney, yeah, you're gonna be stuck there. You're gonna be wrongfully in prison. And it's funny that the guy that actually stole the generator and sold it to him was pardoned and released earlier. It was pardoned and released almost 10 years ago. And the person that bought the generator just got released at the intervention of the governor of the state in 2025. The justice system is not balanced. And one thing that I would like to add is that the justice system in Nigeria is like the human resource department or the HR department of any company. You think they're for you, they're not for you. They're not for the common man. They're for the business. So the justice system is not for the common man. It is for the people with money, it's for the people with influence. So it's just that's the way it is around the world in most places. So hopefully the government, both the Lagos state government and also the Abia state government can come together and find a way to reintegrate him back into the society. The penalty that he paid is not worth the crime. He only bought a stolen generator. And we know, whichever country you go all around the world, buying a stolen product is a crime. So you just gotta be careful that you, if you're getting a good deal on a product, the source of the product, so you don't get in trouble with the police, you don't get in trouble with the justice system by buying a stolen property.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that you said all around the world, if you buy a stolen property, you're almost at the same time liable. But what if you're able to prove that you don't know that this item is stolen? Would they let you off the hook? But what I'm trying to say again is that Nigerian government, the judiciary, I think they need to do better. They need to look for a way to redeem their image. In fact, their image has been dragged to the mud, coupled with the election cases and stuff like that, that they've taken it upon themselves to be electing people to positions. Now the masses can no longer elect people to positions because basically somebody will lose election and go up to judiciary, and then essentially judiciary will, force him, put him in position. The election that brought Akpabio to National Assembly, the current speaker, Akpabio did not participate in that election. He ran for the presidency. He was running for presidency, and by the time they finished the primary, everything was done for the for the Senate. Basically, they just put him there. He never participated in that election. The election that brought former speaker, I can't remember his name. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. He's from somewhere around north. That guy never participated in primary election, the election that took him to the Senate. So what I'm trying to say is that, the judiciary, they need to step up their game. They need to look for a way to get back to the people and make sure that the people trust the process and all the judgment that is coming out from those courts, and give people reason to continue to trust them, because this is probably one of many cases. We are just hearing about this one. In fact, about 3 days ago, I heard of another case that a young man from, I think it was from Rivers State. Basically, he killed somebody that was trying to have a carnal knowledge of him. Another man that was trying to have a carnal knowledge of him. So he killed him, and he ended up in prison. In fact, I think he did almost 10 years before somebody intervened in his case. Yes, there will be so many of these cases. In fact, I think when VDN came out from prison or went to lock up, he was speaking about people he met in jail that probably sitting for a very long time without hearing and without a court date. So I think some of these cases, I think the Justice Department or the judiciary, they need to step in and and do some house cleaning on some of these cases. And perhaps this is why people are running away from that country, because there's no justice, there's no accountability. Basically, it's oppression. If you have more money than your neighbor or than the next person, you can basically oppress. In fact, if we are to check, if we are to dig into this matter, you did be surprised that this generator is one big man or is one politician that decided to, what, I will use all my connection to deal with you. Essentially what it is. In fact, there was another case, I think it was out of Osun State, somebody that stole a chicken and then he was sentenced to death for stealing chicken. So there are so many of these cases. I think the judiciary need to do something about these cases and make sure that the politicians, the big men, quote unquote big men, are not using the judiciary to do their dirty works. I think yeah, they need to step up their game.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I just want to say something real quick about your statement about what if you claim ignorance? What if you claim you don't know that the product being sold to you was stolen? And there's this common knowledge. I'm not a lawyer, but in law, they're saying that ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? It means that you're presumed to know the law of the land. So therefore, you're not able to claim as a defense in any legal proceedings. You're supposed to know that if you buy a stolen product, you can be held accountable for that product. So I believe it's the law in most countries around the world. You're supposed to know. If you don't know, it's time to start looking at the laws of your country, the laws of your state. So you want to live your life and you don't get in any trouble. And I do agree with you that there's a lot of overreach, especially if you're fighting against the influential people. We saw the case of Mr. Dele Farotimi. He was picked up in Lagos, sent to Ekiti for defaming the SAN, Afe Babalala. And the way the case was handled, you knew this is more than just defamation. There's something behind it. And I'm sure the case is probably still ongoing. They haven't decided the case yet. And there's a lot of crime out there. There's a lot of people that are being sent to prison unnecessarily. They're given sentences that don't fit the crime. I mean, I'm not a pro-crime person. I'm not supporting anyone to go commit a crime out there. But if you commit a crime, you should pay the penalty for it. But in the same breath, the penalty should fit the crime. If the penalty don't fit the crime, then the justice system needs to be revamped. And we've seen cases of corruptions where a politician is caught stealing, and you won't hear anything about it. We heard about the case of Ibori. We heard about the case of the former CBN governor. Nobody knew what happened. We heard the case of a lot of ministers, politicians siphoning money. At the end of the day, they're not held accountable. Even Yaya Bello, they're still out there running around. Maybe he cut a deal, we don't know. But penalties should be fitting the crime. Penalties should always fit the crime. If it's not, then there's a disconnect between the crime being committed and the person being held accountable.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, the case of Yaya Bello always come to mind when I think of Nigeria justice system. The case of Yaya Bello, not because Ibori was held in London, maybe he would have escaped again. No, the case of Okowa, that one has been able to cut a deal with them. and he has gone home to be enjoying his loot. There are so many of those high-profile cases that the judiciary turns blind eye to them and then go around chasing basically shadows. If in fact, even if we decide to look at the EFCC overlook all those high-profile crime or criminals, and they begin to chase the Yahoo boys. I'm not in support of Yahoo boys. Anybody that commits a crime to face the music. But why are we being selective? Why is the EFCC being selective? In fact, the EFCC chairman, I can't remember his name again now, swore that if he will resign if he's unable to prosecute Yahya Bello. We're still waiting for his resignation because definitely he cannot prosecute Yahya Bello. Yahya Bello is way bigger than his pay grade. So, things like that, I think they need to be concerned about Nigerian image. They always talk about demarketing Nigeria from a perspective of opposition, that opposition is always demarketing Nigeria. But some of these things can actually deter people from investing in Nigeria, can actually deter people from visiting Nigeria because you can't get justice anywhere. You can be picked up for any reason whatsoever and be locked up and the keys will be thrown away and nobody will hear about it. In fact, at some points they even go as far as, kidnapping you like a kidnapping style, and then nobody will know where you were locked up. In fact, there was a very high profile case that came out from Anambra, a police unit, SAS police unit in Anambra, that was basically arresting people without, communicating to their families and then throwing them in the prison and in the process even harvesting their organs and be selling their organs. That case went viral. And till today, we don't even know what happened to that case again. So there is a whole lot of these cases, and I think the police, the IGP, should work hand in hand with the judiciary and make sure that the punishment actually fit the crime that people commit. I don't see why somebody will be sentenced to death for buying the stolen goods. That is not a capital this thing. Why are you applying a capital punishment to something very, very minor for stealing stolen goods? In fact, look at that guy that stole a chicken, and then you say you are pronouncing a death sentence on him. And then Yahya Bello that stole billions of dollars that is meant to take care of the people is running around like a mouse, and nothing has happened to him. So I think, yeah, we should pay more attention. If we really want to redeem our image and we are concerned about our image and we are concerned about people demarketing the country, I think the judiciary is one demarketing the country the most, and I think they should take a second look at themselves.
Yeah, before we wrap it up, do you think there's a tribal undertone to this case? Because the man that was arrested for buying a stolen generator is from Abia State in Lagos State. The guy that stole the generator is a Yoruba man, and maybe the owner of the generator, we don't know, could the person have been a Yoruba person? So, do you think there's a tribal undertone that happened in this case? Because even if you think about it, the guy that stole the generator, it still baffles me that he got out before the guy that bought the generator, and the guy was actually pardoned by another governor from a Yoruba state.
I mean, I can agree to it, and then I can't deny it. So I will just stay right there in the middle. But we also know that Alex Oti pardoned him, and then I think two other guys as well. Yeah, I can expressly say that there is a tribal undertone to it. But all I know is that the judiciary, they need to do better. Whether the judiciary is a court in the east, a court in the west, a court in the north, I think the same this thing should be applied to everybody. Let everybody get fair judgment, regardless of where you come from.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great answer. I do believe that wherever you're located around the country, around the world, your skin color shouldn't matter, tribe shouldn't matter, the language you speak shouldn't matter, as long as the law is being applied fairly. Wherever you're from shouldn't dictate the kind of punishment you get. And I know even in America, it's different between different races. So it's just crazy. So I think it's important that the people in the judiciary, they fix the justice system in such a way that it can be applied to anywhere, to anyone around the country. Right. If you're still a goat, if you're still a cow, you should get a fair punishment for it. If you're still public funds, you should get a fair punishment for it. You shouldn't have to, sign a backdoor deal or get a pardon for something that affected millions of lives compared to you just stealing a goat or buying a stolen goods.
Yeah, definitely. Regardless of your background, your ethnicity, I think we all should have the same and equal, treatment under the law. There is no reason why people should be treated based on, where they come from. Let's even limit it to Nigeria. There is no reason why somebody should be let off the hook because you are from the north or you are from the east. Everybody should just get equal treatment, and that has, if even for me, in my workplace, anywhere I go, I always hold that, dear to my heart, that don't treat me better because you are concerned about being called racist and stuff like that. Just treat me the way you would treat any other person in that place, be it white, yellow, black, green. Don't treat me any better and don't treat me any worse than, how you would treat the other person. So I think Nigerian, government, they should do better if they are really concerned about their image. Some of these cases, I think it's time they start attending to them. And in fact, there was another case, a case of that young boy that, that got in front of a P2B's convoy during the 2023 campaign. That guy was locked up for extensive period of time, almost months, running into months, and nobody knew about his whereabouts until the one guy, I think, this human rights activist, F Young, got a, somebody told him about the case, and he took the case, and then the boy was finally freed. And some of these cases, I think, the government should be paying attention to them and making sure that people are not being put away because somebody has more money than them. So yeah, we should all do better, put our hands together and make sure that we do better as a people. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Let us hear your opinion about this conversation. And we thank you for watching. Have a good day.
Thank you.